My Little Pony Generation 5 was extremely controversial amongst My Little Pony fans. Not controversial in the typical sense, it didn't cover anything like racy or anything like that, but controversial in the fact that it didn't feel to most people like a satisfying follow-up to the amazing storytelling that was My Little Pony Generation 4. My Little Pony Friendship is Magic ran for almost 10 years and was extremely popular the entire time, and was by far the most popular and well-received My Little Pony generation to date. Generation 5 was also a direct continuation of Generation 4, with there being, I think, a couple hundred years in between the two of them within the lore, and that was the first time that's ever been done in the My Little Pony franchise, so immediately that set itself up to be compared to the monolith that was Generation 4. And in that regard, it flopped hard. Obviously, Generation 5 has its fans and the people that love it, but most of the people who like Generation 5 got into My Little Pony during Generation 4 and just happened to like Generation 5 because it's a direct continuation. There are tons of reasons why Generation 5 fell flat, and not that it was pronounced dead on arrival, but I've been going into stores the past few weeks and I haven't seen a single My Little Pony Generation 5 toy, and I saw My Little Pony toys long after Generation 4 had ended. So where did Generation 5 go wrong? What did the writers and directors do to make Generation 5 not feel as iconic as Friendship is Magic? In my opinion, it's a combination of diverting too far from the My Little Pony formula, while also still trying to capitalize off the success of its predecessors. I've stated this before in my redesign videos, but the My Little Pony Generation 5 characters feel like knockoffs of the Friendship is Magic characters. I made comparisons like Zip and Rainbow Dash, Izzy and Pinkie Pie, etc. Another thing I've seen receive heavy criticism is the modern aspect. Specifically in Zephyr Heights, where the Pegasi live, they have high-rise buildings and cell phones and TVs and live streams, all to appeal to the very much technology-driven youth of today, but that made the film feel dated upon release. And for reference, it released in 2021. In my personal opinion, another problem I have with Generation 5 is I don't feel like they pushed the designs as far as they could have. I think it's interesting they took a risk with adding a boy into the main lineup, but none of the character designs really impressed me, and they don't have to be complicated in order to be memorable like G4. Despite the simplistic art style, they all have very strong silhouettes and personalities, and that's what I really enjoy about Generation 4. And so I want to combine all of the things that I like about Generation 5 and all of the things that I absolutely love about Friendship is Magic and make what I hope is a satisfactory concept for a potential Generation 6. Starting off with my guideline sketches, I wouldn't normally show these if I have all of the characters in one piece to avoid spoilers, but I think it's important to show that I was designing these characters next to each other. I was referencing each of them whenever I needed design ideas, and I wanted to make sure they all fit in harmoniously with one another. I wanted their poses and positioning to convey their personalities, and having them next to each other made it easier for me to design them as a group unit instead of just individual characters. One thing I loved about Generation 4 was the color variety. Friendship is Magic had such bright colors that all contrasted with each other, and even characters that had similar color schemes were very different. Like Twilight and Rarity are both unicorns with purple as their main color, but because of the different shades of purple and different aspects of their design like their silhouettes, they both stand apart but also look good next to each other. And I may sound a little crazy for saying this because I really don't have anything to base this off of, but the main six from Generation 5 just don't have that same color harmony. When I say the main six, I mean Sunny, Hitch, Izzy, Zip, Pip, and I think her name is Misty. With the exception of maybe Hitch, because I do like the green and yellow contrast, the colors for the ponies from Generation 5 just feel random. I can't decide if it's because the colors are too similar or the colors are too different. I feel like the colors for Friendship is Magic were always very thoughtful and heavily relied on color theory, like the way that color plays into emotions. And I feel like Generation 5 just doesn't do that, but let me know if y'all think the same. I may be biased, but something that I really loved about Generation 4 was their focus on a rainbow color scheme. Arguably and very tentatively, each member of the main six represented a color of the rainbow, with the exception being green. They didn't really have a pony who is supposed to be like green coded, I guess, which I think is common for girls' toys actually. I think green is the color they leave out the most. But I think it's really fun when a group group has 6 members, and each member is assigned a color of the rainbow, and then you just create a color scheme for them based off of their main color. That's how I like to design my characters. You can disagree, it's fine. There are definitely more interesting ways to create a dynamic group, but I think that the rainbow will always be top tier. It also makes for easy contrast because each of the colors of the rainbow already have colors that contrast it and are complementary to it, so it makes it easier to build a color scheme. But now that I've gotten my thought process out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the first pony. So my first pony that I designed for my Generation 6 concept is named Cherry Pie, and despite what you think, she's not meant to be like a Pinkie Pie successor, she just happened to share pie in her name. In addition to colors of the rainbow, I also really enjoy it when characters have a certain stereotype or archetype that the show builds upon. So by the end of the show, they've broken out of their stereotype. Basically, it makes for easy character development, the story writes itself essentially, and Cherry Pie is the big sister archetype. She's caring, nurturing, a little bit stubborn, but always puts her family first. And she has a really big family. Cherry Pie is the oldest of 7 siblings. And both of her parents work full-time, so she's the primary caretaker of all of her little siblings. But Cherry's dream is to be a singer, and she is torn between her obligation to her family and her desire to chase her dreams. And so that's basically her character arc. Cherry probably gave me the least trouble design-wise. She took a little bit of inspiration from a Generation 4 character named Cherry Jubilee. I think she appears in just a few episodes of Friendship is Magic. And I really like the contrast of a cream coat with dark red cherry hair. But instead of an earth pony, Cherry is a Pegasus. I wanted to keep with the running theme of 2 of each pony type. A lot of new generation My Little Pony concepts that other artists have made include the different species in Equestria, like the Kirin, the Hippogriffs, the Griffins. But I really wanted to draw ponies, so all of them are ponies. The reason I made Cherry a Pegasus specifically is because I think a very funny visual gag could be her trying to wrangle her siblings and using her wings like her arms. That, and when she performs, I think it would be very visually interesting if she could fly. And so that is Cherry Pie for now. This is going to be our first familiar face. Something that every single generation of My Little Pony except for Generation 5 has done is repurpose ponies from previous generations and turn them into new characters. Some off of the top of my head are Rarity, Pinkie Pie, and Rainbow Dash. And so 4 out of my 6 ponies are actually repurposed ponies. This next pony is named Starburst, and he is based off of Sunburst. I did not change Sunburst's original design that much. He still has basically the same silhouette and color scheme. He also has pretty much the same personality and demeanor, but you may notice that instead of a unicorn, he's an earth pony. And so you may be thinking, how is he supposed to be into magic and books and everything like that if he can't practice magic? And that's the funny part. All of that is still his special talent. He just can't practice magic. He studies and memorizes spells, and he can't perform them. His entire gimmick is that he's the nerd of the group. He likes magic and wants to learn everything there is about magic, but he can't perform it himself. And so his whole character arc is him trying to adjust to the fact that he was not born in what he thinks is the right body. He knows that he's supposed to practice magic and learn spells. He's got his cutie mark for it, but he just can't. Other than actually practicing magic, his entire dream is that he wants to teach at this very prestigious magic school. You may notice a running theme with all of these characters. They are all trying to follow a dream that they feel like is unattainable. And yeah, it definitely feels like his dream is unobtainable, but you'll just have to see how he deals with it. His design didn't end up changing very much from his original. I just incorporated more of the teal to give him a pop of color. So that is Starburst, and he is my favorite. Next is another character that I've stolen from a previous generation, but not from Friendship is Magic. This is Wisteria with a Y, and she was originally a Generation 3 pony. Generation 3 was my introduction to My Little Pony, so I had to add an homage to it in some way, and Wisteria was my favorite pony. I had a little figurine of her that I think I got from McDonald's, and like her original design, I'm keeping her an Earth pony. My Little Pony Generation 6 concept takes place in a city that's supposed to be like a mix of Manhattan and Canterlot, a big bustling city where ponies come to follow their dreams, and I really like the name of the city, Canterlot, so I just kept it. Wisteria is a Canterlot native, she was born there, and her family is very rich and influential. They own a huge company that she is expected to inherit one day. If I had to compare her to another character, it would probably be Pacifica from Gravity Falls. She's not as mean, but she is spoiled and comes from a place of privilege, which makes it harder for her to relate to other ponies her age. Her dream isn't to inherit her family's business. She actually wants to build her own business and leave her own legacy rather than just the legacy of her family. And so being friends with the other members of the main six teaches her humility, especially Cherry Pie. They're supposed to be sort of foils of each other. Cherry Pie comes from a big family. She's definitely not rich. She has a lot of responsibility and has to work for anything that she wants, whereas Wisteria has always had everything handed to her. And so they butt heads a little bit at the beginning of the story. Wisteria isn't rude by any means, she's just a little bit insensitive sometimes, can't see past her own snout, but that'll definitely make for some interesting character growth, I think. I kept Wisteria's original purple coat, but I actually made her mane a sort of turquoise, just because I feel like the lineup was needing a bit of green. So that's Wisteria, very simple, very cute. Next is yet another very familiar face. This pony is meant to be an iteration of Scootaloo. She's specifically based off of Friendship is Magic Scootaloo, but I believe that Scootaloo has been present of every generation of My Little Pony. I didn't keep the name Scootaloo though because I don't like it very much, honestly. And so her new name is Sol. It's short for Summer Solstice, and she is actually Starburst's sister. She's probably about half a decade younger than him, so he is about college age where she's in sophomore or junior year of high school. And just like Friendship is Magic Scootaloo, she has small wings, and also she doesn't have her cutie mark yet. Sol was also very easy. She ended up having a very similar color palette to Gen 4 Scootaloo. I really do like what they tried to do in Generation 5 by making two of the characters siblings, because there's a lot of fun that could be had in storylines involving sibling drama and whatnot. I just personally don't think that they pushed it far enough. I honestly have the least to say about her. I feel like she's pretty straightforward. And so this is Sol, Summer Solstice. I think she's pretty cute. Next one will be familiar to you if you've watched my videos before. This is just a copy and paste of my Izzy redesign, which is funny because I actually gave her the name of a Generation 4 character. This is Cozy Glow, but she doesn't resemble Gen 4 Cozy Glow at all. She doesn't have her personality, her appearance, nothing. I just liked her name. I feel like other than Sol, Cozy Glow has the least amount of story that I've thought out for her. She's very straightforward. She's kind of shy, kind of gloomy, but she really likes arts and crafts. She works in a bookstore, but her dream is to sell her art, which, yeah, relatable. But she doesn't think that she's charismatic enough to become a full-time artist. She thinks that other ponies won't enjoy her work just because of her personality or her appearance. So for now, she's content staying in her shell, staying in her bookstore. I imagine she has a personality very similar to early season 1 Twilight, like very beginning of the first episode. She doesn't really believe in friends, kind of sarcastic, just wants to keep to her books. I kept pretty much the same silhouette and energy of my Izzy redesign, but I just changed the colors a little bit to make them a little bit more gloomy. She's supposed to feel like a cloudy sky at nighttime. That's why I think the name Cozy Glow fits her. Like I said in my Generation 5 redesign video, Cozy is a unicorn who doesn't actually like to use her magic all that much. She's more of a hooves-on type of girl, if you know what I mean. Cozy Glow might still need a little bit of tweaking, but overall, I like her design. Feel free to go ahead and go down to the comment section and tell me how similar she looks to Twilight. Last but certainly not least is our main character of Generation 6. This is Trixie. Trixie stayed pretty similar to her Generation 4 personality and design, but I just thought it would be really interesting if she had the main character spot. So Trixie is who we follow for the entirety of the story. She got her cutie mark relatively recently in terms of when the story starts, so she moved to Canterlot because she thought that she was destined to be a star. Her special talent is still like magic tricks, but she thought because she got her cutie mark in something like that, that she was just destined to be the greatest magician of all time. And so she moved to Canterlot, the big city, to make her dreams come true. And when we meet her, she is working as a waitress at a diner. Her dreams do not pan out the way that she wants them to. Her character arc is her learning the hard way that talent can only get you so far, and that if you want to be great and powerful, you have to put in the work. And she does not like that one bit. If you can't tell, I am projecting onto Trixie a lot. She may be a little bit of a self-insert, and I am so sorry, but that's just how we do things on this channel. She's still very recognizable, pretty much the exact same color scheme. And that brings us to the group as a whole. You may have noticed already that none of them have cutie marks. They have cutie marks in the story, I just haven't really solidified their designs yet, because talents and dreams and what you're meant to do are very important in the story, and cutie marks are very much directly tied to those things. So I wanted their cutie marks to be special. But just for the sake of the video, I drew some little sketches of what I imagine their cutie marks look like, and you can tell me what you think in the comments. But here is the whole gang together, and I love them so much. The video is not over yet though, because I actually ended up doing more sketches after I finished the main piece. I wanted to draw all 6 of the ponies, but I actually only had time to end up doing 3, so maybe this video warrants a part 2, I don't know. But I wanted to go a little bit more in depth on some of the lore that I've imagined for this world. The first thing is what Starburst actually ends up doing about the fact that he can't practice magic. I knew that the series needed a character who could become a marketable plushie, and so Starburst has a little dragon pet that I have not named yet. But basically, this little flying, hovering dragon thing can practice magic. And so Starburst thinks that he can teach this little pet spells, and then it'll be just as good as if he had a horn himself. The problem is this little dragon thing does not want to listen to him. So that would be a gag throughout the whole story, that they have to learn to work together. Another thing that you've probably picked up on is the fact that the ponies are probably focusing on a little bit more mature topics like destiny and purpose and what you want to do in life. Things that I feel like a lot of us are struggling with. What do you do when you have a dream and you can't pursue it? What do you do when you have a talent that isn't profitable? What do you do when you're physically not able to do what you think that you're meant to do? These are all things I think that the story would deal with, and it's why I want to put such a heavy emphasis on the cutie marks in the first place, because cutie marks are directly tied to what your destiny is, what your purpose is, what you're meant to do in life. So this My Little Pony generation focuses less on magic and fantasy and more on relationships and living your life. I would have loved to call this story My Little Pony Make Your Mark, but that was already taken. And so I have absolutely no ideas on what to call My Little Pony Generation 6. So if you have any ideas, please let me know. And if I like one of your comments, I will pin it at the top probably. Interaction bait who? Not me. The other characters I decided to sketch were Wisteria and Cherry Pie. Wisteria is gardening, so I was trying to show that even though she was raised rich, she's not afraid of getting her hooves dirty. And then I also drew Cherry Pie with 3 of her youngest siblings. Their names are Grape Juice, Tangerine Twist, and Lemon Zest. Everybody in her family is fruit themed, and another one of her younger siblings is actually Apple Bloom. But I think I'd like to go more in depth on each of the ponies' families and relationships in another video, perhaps, if y'all like this one and would like to see more of my Generation 6. I've done a whole lot of sketches and brainstorming that I think I would like to post on my Patreon, so if you want to see it, it'll be available for all my Patreon tiers. I know I've been kind of slow with updating my other social medias, but I am working on getting back into a consistent routine with posting on YouTube and Instagram and Patreon, and so hopefully that will be soon. I think that this is actually going to be the outro for this video, so please let me know what you think of my Generation 6. I would love to hear any lore ideas or story ideas that you guys have, because this is very much a bare bones project right now. I'm not planning on doing anything large scale with it right now, but I just thought it would be something interesting to share with you guys. If I do make a part 2, please let me know what more you would like to hear about, if you want to focus on other characters, or if you want me to go more in depth on the characters, or if you even want me to make a part 2 at all. If you're new, make sure that you subscribe, and if you're not new, make another account and subscribe again. I'm trying to hit 100k before my birthday, which is next February, so get to it. I'm just kidding. I'm extremely grateful for all of you. 80k is insane. I cannot believe that there are more of you than like people who can fit in a football stadium. I don't know. I don't watch football. But yeah, that is going to be it from me. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure to go watch every single other video I have ever posted. I am still Lucky Inkiio, and I will see you very soon.